Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast. The season is underway and I'm going to be discussing Liverpool's amazingly fun victory over Bournemouth with Steve Hall, Chloe Bloxham and Andy Bell as well. Thank you so much for joining us. A little reminder that we are partnered for the season with oosh.co.uk. If you saw our little advert and what have you, the last one was my favourite one, the shoe clothes one where you all jumped up from behind
I've
the car.
not seen that yet. Have we used that somewhere?
Yeah, that went out at the weekend.
Wonderful. I'll get on
so
that.
Yeah, the car they gave away an Audi RS6 and they've got loads of that kind of stuff going on. There'll be more details to follow as I get throughout the season, but if you want to head over and check them out on Instagram and all that, oosh.co.uk is the name.
It's fun to say, isn't it?
It is.
You've done well with the name.
What we learned in filming the bits for him is that I seem to have some sort of mental block when it comes to ending videos with it, but got there in the end. All fine, all absolutely fine. Right, yes. We're going to be discussing the match, and there is no ultimately, clever or interesting way to tonally fit this in here, but we have to talk about the Semenyo racism incident, and obviously the response that's gone off the back of it. Obviously, it goes without saying, but we'll say it regardless because these things need to be said and need to be repeated over and over and over again, because it's important that there is no room for racism in the Liverpool fan base as far as we're concerned. Absolutely disgusting behaviour from the individual involved, and the way that I think it's been handled by the stewards, by the club, by the police, and actually from reading some of the reports of people who are in the ground thereabouts as well, how you're handled by people in the ground have been really good. Most of us will have seen Semenyo's response to it via Instagram. I thought that was brilliant. It made me I rewatched the game Saturday morning, and actually I was more focused on him, even more so. It is how he conducted himself on the pitch. I just thought he just looks a brilliant fella. Not that it matters, by the way, but he the way he was interacting with the Liverpool players on the pitch and got on, and obviously, got to shove it right back down the throat of the person who gave him the abuse as well by scoring. So yeah, a very, very unsavoury incident, and one that is you like to think that your fan base won't be caught up in these things, and I know there'll be plenty of people trying to score points in the banter department on all this. It's not about that, is it really? And it shouldn't be. And
we shouldn't push under the carpet as well.
No.
That's something like you can't say, oh, well, it's not a Liverpool fan. It was a Liverpool fan who done it. Again, that man's opinions and actions aren't representative of us all, but in a way they kind of are. I think when you're in that ground, you're everyone. It's one, you know what I mean? So, and if one person tarnishes it, doesn't mean we all feel the same way, but it definitely does impact everybody. So yeah, obviously,
it makes me feel
shame on him.
Yeah, no, 100%, and that's what I mean. Is that for everything that this city's been through and the fan base has been through, and all the things, like the drama and the heartbreak. To then have that, it's like someone bringing that upon us. A Liverpool fan has gone and brought that shame upon other Liverpool fans. But yeah, it's one of those incidents where it's good in some regards. You've got to turn a negative into a positive. If he gets a ban off the back of it, then it's good to show that there's the strong measures in place and all that it's not acceptable, that it's not something that is representative of Liverpool fans on a broad scale. So yeah, and good on Semenyo as well.
And also, it's good that he'll never be in that ground again, because we don't want people like that in the ground. Absolute vile human being for what I think of him, and I hope he gets the full punishment, and I hope that a ban is the bare minimum of what that man gets from that. What I will say is I didn't mention it in my post-match stuff because I genuinely didn't know what had gone on. From inside the ground, everyone around me thought a water break had happened.
Break, yeah.
So it wasn't until after the fact where I saw a lad who sat next to him come out on Twitter and fully explain what had happened, did I only then realise something serious had gone on in that ground.
It's funny because I saw it at the time, and it's funny because you would never... I would just go into Anfield, I would never presume racism. I would presume character of a fella goes up and says something funny, because that's the most likely thing to happen in the city of Liverpool, is someone goes up and says your ma smells of chips or something, you know what I mean?
Or sign for us, lad, because
exactly.
On the other side, I was doing the watch along, and on the other, I think you guys might have picked up a few minutes before, on the other side when he goes to take the long throw, he's having a laugh and a joke with some fans, and he's got a big smile on his face and he's laughing. So then it happens on the other side, and I originally on the watch along, I even said, he looks like he's having some banter with the crowd or something like that. Because the fella wheels himself over to if it allegedly is in, which we believe it, the guy's been arrested, and says something, and then there's kind of an interaction. So I just presumed like you said, you presume the best of people. There's like a little nice interaction going on or something, and obviously it was horrendous what happened. So yeah, it's on Semenyo, by the way. I think it's worth saying this, and like he's getting praise for his reaction, and I understand that. Like, he's a classy guy. He could have reacted however he wanted, and he'd have been justified. Like, he shouldn't be under the microscope for how he reacts to getting abused. If he wanted to, he could have webbed that fella everywhere, and he'd have been perfectly entitled to, and he could have been appreciative of that as well. Like, fair play to him.
Fuck me, I mean, I can't even begin so much more. You know what I mean? I know, in terms of like how the narrative unfolds.
Fair play to him.
But therein lies the problem. Look, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole on this, but that is also part and parcel of it. It's a disabled fan by all accounts. You know, so there will be people got just. Yeah, there's so many other things sort of tied up in that. The whole incident was just horrendous, and I don't want to do any more on it. Not because I don't think it deserves attention. It does, and we have done. But what we found post match was, people who aren't qualified. Look, a bunch of white people sat in a room talking about the impact of racism is not, that's not our forte. We're not experts in all this kind of stuff. As I'd like to say, I think the way that it's been handled after the fact by everyone involved. As I've been impressed by, but ultimately it's not me who needs to be impressed by such things. And yet, obviously, the best wishes go to Semenyo, because what an absolute class act of a person and a footballer as well.
Just one last thing to add on that as well. I've seen some things online where people are reacting to the racism by what we think was the disabled supporters, and are almost throwing ableist slurs around as well. What's that all about? Both are completely wrong, and two wrongs don't make a right in any way, shape or form. So if your reaction to defending Semenyo is to throw around ableist slurs that affect other people as well, that's disgusting.
We're in a culture where then it comes back, and we then where if you say, well, we don't want people like that, you've then got the alt-right going, oh, there's lefties again, stopping people from giving their opinions. Nah, man, I'm happy to comfortably draw the line at no racism, thanks.
Absolutely.
No racism, no ableism, no sexism, isms are pretty shit. Let's try and avoid them as much as possible. Anyway, the football, and we'll put it to one side for now, and obviously I'm sure things will transpire off the back of it, but I do want to talk about the football because we're a football-based Liverpool podcast, and I thought the football was absolutely sensational. Actually, sorry, no, I don't want to start with the football. I need to start with the pre-match stuff. I want to start with the Diogo Jota tribute. I will go with Chloe on this one because obviously you're in the ground as well. Beautiful. Again, it's one of the things that we do very well. Obviously, we're in the COP, so we get to see the mosaic for Andre over on the Kenny Dalglish. But yeah, just lovely. And again, hearing Diogo's songs sung throughout the game, just impeccable, all of it.
Yeah, I said it earlier, it is one of the loudest I've ever heard Anfield in my life, and that takes some doing with the amount of victories and late minute winners that we've scored there, and some of the iconic Liverpool wins. But Diogo Jota's song ringing around that stadium before the players walk out, as the players walk out, at the full-time whistle, and then obviously when Salah comes over to us as well. They are some of the loudest I've ever heard Anfield, and I'm so glad that, I remember being on the pre-season tours and it felt like Liverpool had put those things in place, and they were very respectful, beautiful moments. But it wasn't like his song was ringing around the stadium. And I'm glad that I was able to, not dedicate anything, because I'm not doing anything on the pitch, but I was glad that I had my moment to try and give, some sort of solace to the family of how much this lad was absolutely adored by every single one of us.
Absolutely, banners and flags, and actually, Andy, the Bournemouth fans had a banner in their end, which was a lovely touch. And one thing I'd said post matches, I don't know whether the club have funded that or the fans. It's incredibly meaningful one way or the other, but if the fans have organised themselves, it makes it mean even more.
I think it was the supporters from something I saw on Twitter, which was amazing. And obviously in the 20th minute when we're all up singing his name, the Bournemouth fans are all stood and are all applauding as well. And in terms of the process of the tragic thing that's happened, there's been a few games, obviously, since it's happened. The first one was Preston, and I was there. But for a lot of people, especially people like you, Chloe, who follow home and away every time, a lot of those people see that as a bit of a breather. If there's an away friendly, I'm just going to take it easy until August. Then obviously we go away on tour. We have the Atletico game, which is the first game back at Anfield since it happens. But again, like, I was away for that. I wasn't, there's sort of different people in the stadiums at different times. And it's important that everyone has their opportunity to sing and revere this fantastic player for us. There's a charity shield as well, but this was obviously the first time that everyone who regularly goes to Liverpool matches, pretty much, give or take, was in the ground, and we got to do that together, got to sing his name together, and got to remember him together. And it's an important process. We also had the players come over at the end of Preston, just literally watching the fans sing. And that was almost a grieving process for them as well, taking 10 minutes, clapping along with the supporters and just watching and be revered. And obviously Salah has that moment again. And the tributes were beautiful. The mosaic was beautiful. The thing that touched me the most was a banner in the Kop. And if someone can correct me on the exact wording on it, please jump in. But it named his family, it named his wife, his children, and a couple of others, and said, "You will always be welcome here. This will always be your home." And I just thought, for them, seeing that, being in the stadium, seeing that just must have given them so much comfort. And I thought that was a really, really classy banner.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
I think what's happened at Anfield on Friday, and subsequently what happened at Wolves on Saturday, again, it's not going to bring comfort in a way. I know his family were at both games by all accounts. You just like to hope that there are things that they can show each other in the future, like, look how amazing our dad or our son, all these people just adored this guy. And yeah, I thought, like I was obviously in the studio, and I could see there's a very poignant picture of the sky cam drops down as the players arms in arms with the Kop behind them. It is very touching. It's very emotional, mate. It's going to be emotional all the time. Like I say, it's almost like we've got to keep that in our mind the whole time, like how Mo Salah reacts at the end and stuff. Like, these are guys going through it. Like they really are. They're grieving their mate or their loved ones or whatever. So it is something that we all have to bear in mind. It's like that. This is real. It's an experience that everyone's going through. It's a unique thing that nobody's ever done.
Yeah.
And it's really like, so like, for example, for you guys in the crowd, singing that song is good, because again, it's your way of showing your like passion and support for the family. And I'm hoping on the flip side, I say that when the family saw that and listened to that they took something from it, because in both stadiums it was beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, it's one of the things. It's going to be ongoing. I was going to kind of circle around to Salah at the end, because obviously, look, chronologically he scores the last goal, and I think it's important to talk about that. But I think it's so linked in, Chloe, to the Jota stuff. I hadn't realised it, because by the end and all that, I was aware that Salah was like the last one to leave the pitch, but I was filming a video at that time and didn't kind of really process it. It was only when I got home and I watched the footage of Mo, and God, that set me off in a huge way. He just stood in front of the Kop, basically clapping and crying. And like, you could tell there was something not right about Salah and how he played the game. I think he felt a little bit like he was playing within himself. And I felt as though, and I felt this actually all summer long, that he wants to score so he can give his really visible tribute to Diogo as well. And actually, I think the way in which he scored the goal was very like he legged across the pitch to go onto the left hand side, because he was determined to make that happen. And then he gets his moment in front of the Kop, and it does look everyone's affected in different ways, as Steve sort of saying there, but yeah, it's so clear how bad an impact it's having on Mo Salah.
Yeah, and like you said there, you could tell it throughout the game. I think he gets in a little bit of a scrap with the player from a corner, which he just would never usually do. He usually laughs them off and basically says, "Just wait until I get my chance," and that's his way of shutting them up. I think you could see it with the emotion, with the way he celebrated. Everyone's dead on the feet, and he's absolutely sprinting to the Kop still. And I think he obviously points up to the sky as well. It's affecting them all, but it will affect them on different levels. And I don't think Salah's had that moment where he can make that celebration and score. And I think it told you everything about the man he is as well, because as he's running off the field, his song is then also sung. But as soon as he hears the song start, he runs off, because he knows, this isn't my moment. I don't want this to be, just because I've stood there and I've clapped and have that moment, that doesn't mean yous now need to sing my name. Keep it with Diogo. So even that, where he was so aware of when we started singing his song, for him to rush off the field, because that's actually not my moment, there shows the character he is as well.
I think, just from my perspective, Andy, I don't know about yours, but I've had I've had a few moments throughout pre-season. You kind of touched upon them, like the songs being sung before the Preston game, whatever, really set me off in a big way. There's random ones where it's a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, isn't it? That his song, the Jogo song's based on, and I came up in a playlist while I was driving down the motorway a couple of weeks ago. Set me off again. The Salad. Every time I think I'm getting past it, something like that comes up, and they go, "This is just us. We know Diogo, you know, we feel the sense of loss, but it is an important and I think very important reminder that it's Salad as well, the guy who's seen as so above it all and so able to control himself, the ultimate professional. If it's impacted someone like this, then it is important for us to remember these lads are going to need to have some slack cut for them throughout the season.
And they're all different as well, and they'll all deal with it differently. So when the news came through for me, obviously I was shocked and I was devastated, but for me, I didn't want to watch any content about Diogo. I know that there was a lot put out, and for a lot of people that will have been comforting to listen to the tributes and to get their own tribute out, I suppose. But my way of dealing with it at the early stages was avoidance, and that will be the case for a lot of those players as well, whereas a lot of them will have confronted it straight away. And everyone's different in a squad of 25 or however many senior players. Everyone will be different and everyone will be dealing with it differently. Everyone will think they're sort of over it at different points. Of course, you're never going to fully get over it, but it will take some players a little bit longer for everything to sink in. And a big part of it for me was going up to Anfield and laying some flowers and laying my champion scarf, which had the number 20 on it, which we all know, I think, is all of that's been recycled and is going to be made into something which I think is great as well. And yeah, there are just sort of so many different moments. Like even for me yesterday, I don't know if anyone saw James Milner's tribute. I saw some quotes on Instagram. Yeah, well, he's obviously taken the shirt, but there were some quotes which I'm not sure came out when a couple of weeks ago when he made that decision, or if I've only just seen them yesterday. But just talking about him as a guy and saying how he was one of those guys who you could put him in any corner of the changing room and you knew you would get along with that person and make them feel at home and make them feel welcome. And I only know like a couple of people in life who can do that, who you can bring along with you to a party, or you can bring along with you to the pub to watch the game, and you've no qualms about whether they're going to fit in, whether anyone's going to think they're a little bit strange or a little bit much.
Steve's role at Redmen, basically.
So it's there's just very few people in life who have that ability. I certainly don't have that ability in any way, shape or form. It's such a unique quality, and we've all talked about the quality of the footballer, and we've so many great moments of the joy that he gave us over the years. But the more and more you hear about this fella, he was just absolutely top class.
Absolutely.
I think to wrap it up as well, and I go to the footy, I think we just give everyone, just cut everyone a bit of slack. Like, things aren't exactly amazing. Liverpool haven't had a clear pre-season. Why, for example, can't they run 90 minutes yet? Well, they started. They came back and then they were away on. They were at memorials and funerals, for God's sake. And then, like the Preston game, the manager literally let people decide if they wanted to play or not. So I think everyone, just give everyone a little bit of slack. Like, Arne Slot is trying to get his team prepared. He's never had to deal with nothing like this. This is a completely unique situation. I just think they're doing all they can. I'd say that, like, none of these lads are shaking it. If the touch is off, or they're not quite right fit yet, or you know what, if they're mentally just not quite sharp, I think it's something to bear out. Maybe it might take a week or two. But
there's a point in that game when we're chasing it at 2-2, and we start singing the Jota song, and I thought, okay, I get it, but you just don't know. Some people might go, yes, I'm going to do, this is a great opportunity for me to do that for my friend. And there might other people going like, fuck, I'd love him to be here. He's not here to remind, you know what I mean? So you're right. We all handle it in different ways, and we're all in this together, Liverpool fans and players, and the season's going to move on. I'm going to have to stop it and move on with the footy because, I'm aware that this is still a big trigger point for a lot of people. And I think I'm doubtless we'll have plenty more conversations around this as the season goes on. One last thing before I do the football. Amazing to see how much red there was at the ground again, Chloe. I was really wondering how this season was going to go with that, and whether the whole red thing was we had the bit of like the culture war over it after the League Cup final. Virgil van Dijk put that to bed very, very quickly. Most people got on board with it. Andy finally could coordinate with his trainers. That was all a good thing. but I wasn't sure how the new season would go. Is this something like coach greetings where it's going to be kept aside for special occasions? I think Addy have done a great job by putting so much cool all red stuff out into the world. The long sleeve top will help as well. But yeah, it was so obvious. I know you weren't the Community Shield, but it was obvious the Community Shield, and it was obvious at the game on Friday as well.
Yeah, it was, like you said there. It helps that Adidas have, came up with some boss clobber, because, there's a jacket there that can keep me warm, that is red, that doesn't look ridiculous, and that I can wear. So, or like the accents of red, you could see a lot more. I mean, the kit is absolutely stunning as well, which you saw loads of. You also saw lots of away kits as well, because, I mean, that is unbelievable. So it does help that we've got quite a lot of, a lot of stuff to choose from now, which is also retro, and people feel nostalgic, and therefore they go back to that stuff as well. But yeah, it's clear that, when Virgil comes out last season and basically says, can we do this every week? Anfield usually will listen to you. We'll see how long it does last.
I'll see how we are in November.
Yeah, because
anyone got a big
summer,
red coat.
And I'm not sure how long I can stay in just the top. I won't lie to you. There might have to be hoodies and everything. But if Adidas have a couple of them that are quite good, I'll love
definitely
one of them.
I've got one of them. Yeah. I took one out the bag. Everyone get yourself some red hats and scarves. Everyone needs.
Okay, then the actual footy. Handball. Red
I
cards,
cannot believe it.
Certainly not a free kick to Bournemouth.
Has anyone worked out
Why
what
was that?
was
No
for?
idea.
Yeah.
Was that just because we moaned?
I watched Ref Watch. Fucking Derek Gallagher. Basically, what they've said is they believe Oliver VAR has watched the ball bounce up off the lad's thigh onto his arm and decided that it's not on ball. He then hasn't watched 6 frames later where the lad plays volleyball on the halfway line. It's scandalous. He's meant to be the best.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You haven't answered the question of why they got a free kick.
Because afterwards, Cody Gakpo did pick the ball up. But I think he just presumed that
the lad who held the footy.
That actually clarifies a lot for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so Cody, but also Taylor bottled it. But Gakpo, he just lets it all play out, and then Gakpo stops the game by Gakpo does handball it. But yeah, it was just like, it's 13 minutes into the brand new Premier League season. You'll be hard pressed to find the worst decision all season.
Can I ask,
It's
on the TV, did it not show the full? Did the VAR review stop?
You didn't see they didn't do a VAR. It was a VAR check. It wasn't like the going. It's just like VAR's cleared it. Like it wasn't like
so you didn't even get to see that part.
He didn't stop the game. Usually you get like the VAR on your screen and you're watching what he's seeing. No, he just checks and clears it. And I think he's genuinely watched the ball bounce it the lad on the arm and gone, no, not a foul. He then hasn't realised it bounces down. And Ekatiké's about to score, and he knocks it away. You won't get a worse decision that all season.
It's like one of the mornings where you're with the kids and you're knackered and you can hear them fighting and you're just like, yeah, just play nicely, everyone. Like Oliver sat there with a fucking hangover, with his feet up on the VAR desk, goes, it's die, whatever. Go on, carry on. Absolute beauts, the lot of them. Ridiculous.
Listen, I hate refs, so I'm going to put that out there now, right? But I don't blame Anthony Taylor for missing that, because no one's got a clue what's going on. It looks like bouncing ball, ricochet everywhere. Yeah. So I don't blame him for that. I blame him for bottling it and blowing his whistle. But then the VAR has to send that guy off. It's just, it's impossible not to. I know it's on the halfway line. He's going to be one-on-one with the goalie, and he's going to probably...
It was rightly pointed out, that like you can say... It never even became an issue of whether it's a goal scoring opportunity, because they just didn't give it as a handball. Yeah. So this was a next phase of stuff which we were never even allowed to have the conversation of. But there would have been people saying whether it's a goal scoring opportunity when Semenyo ran from basically the same position and scores later on in the game. So it's all kind of relative. But incompetence didn't even allow us to get. So
far. When he actually does stop the ball for a foul to them, does he not then say to Michael Oliver, can you just check that again for me?
But it's like second, it's like check complete. It's a bit like they don't do the whole VAR go. It's not that. They for what it's worth, I've got the match centre tweet that says the referee's call of no red card was checked and confirmed by VAR with the action deemed not to be a clear handball offence nor a denial of a goal scoring opportunity due to the distance from the goal. That's bollocks. It's a deliberate handball, and he's last man. And I've seen Hugo Ekatike run. He's fucking fast. And no one was catching him.
The reason he does it is because he panics and he knows he's in. I've done it before. I used to play centre half, and the ball goes over your head, and somebody's about to nod it in. in those 2 seconds, you don't have time to think about it. You just make an insane decision sometimes to slap it away and hope the referee doesn't see it. It's absolutely mental. But one of the things that I feel like we need to do as a crowd more, which actually really influences the game, is when there's a referee from Manchester is singing that chant every time he gives a decision against us. I try not to swear on here in case my pupils are listening, but the "you mank" chant, it gets in their heads. They start giving decisions the other way to show they're not biased.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
I remember the one last season where Paul Tierney was giving some decisions.
I was about to use this
Tierney.
example. The Paul Tierney example is what we should do.
Right.
And that is, we shouted, "Fuck off Tierney, fuck off Tierney," and then he got a decision right, and we sang, "We love you Tierney, we do." That's what you do, because they're just egotists. And I actually,
some of them are, but
calling him a mank bastard and telling him to fuck off, you can't not be that. You know what I mean? So, like, actually, I know. So I know, I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying, but I actually thought, for the first time ever, with the Paul Tierney stuff, we nailed that. We got the tone spot on with that. Tell him he's crap, but then actually weirdly, like, ironically praise him when he does something good, and just see how they get on with that.
It's worth mentioning, mate. It is VAR's mistake.
Of course. But I don't think it was over that. I think it's over. It's just sort of silly fouls which he's given. But I did feel like after that he started giving a little bit more towards us. I felt like Tierney.
I feel like we sang that song all game.
there were points at which he gave completely fair decisions, and we did do that. But I do think, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe they're humans, and I think there is a genuine question mark around how many referees there are from Greater Manchester. And listen, there's only so many Premier League standard referees, in inverted commas. And if 7 out of 15 of them are from there, then inevitably they're going to end up doing either a Liverpool game or one of the Manchester clubs. But I do think ideally there would be more qualified referees from around the country, for which the FA or the PGMOL just don't give themselves that stick to be beaten with. I think also, so I do think there's actually a question around it, and there is part of me, and it might be nonsense, I don't know, but there is part of me which thinks there might be a little bit of insecurity of a Greater Manchester refereeing a Liverpool game, and knowing that could be levelled at them, and if there's a 50-50 decision and we call them out for it, might give it our way.
Well, it's like the Anfield bias. There's a myth that you get more decisions at Anfield because of the power of Anfield, but because of that, referees don't give decisions at Anfield. It's why we went like a year without a penalty. Yeah, you know, unless so in front of the cop end and stuff. So it becomes a self-perpetuating thing. If you say someone's a diver, then they don't get legitimate fouls all of a sudden. So it's I think, but I do think that the man, that concerns me. That I just don't think we're smart enough with stuff like that. And I agree that there's too many from Greater Manchester, but at the same time, it's quite a big spread, Greater Manchester, and also there's just no better ref. There aren't apparently. That aren't better.
Well, all of us meant to be the best, and it's worth mentioning.
It's Andy Taylor. Yeah. Well, isn't Andy Taylor the elite ref in the league?
On the VAR thing, right? This is what I don't get, is that he's the best, apparently one of the best, and he doesn't think that's a deliberate handball or a red card offence. That's hugely concerning, because it is. Well, it just is. You won't find a single football supporter in the world who goes, "That's not an handball and a red card." And if the whole football world thinks it, all the pundits, all the ref watchers or whatever thinks it, then he's got that wrong. And for them to tweet out and back the original decision is really poor. And what'll happen is Michael Owen and fucking Howard Webb will do that horrendously boring show in a few weeks' time, and they'll go, "Yeah, we made a mistake on that one." And okay, that's fine then. But like, this fella's a crap VAR. He Odegaard's handball, Doku fucking scissor kicking and Alexis McAllister, and now this one. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just think they're all crap. But if you were a conspiracy theorist, then you were thinking, why is this Newcastle supporter not giving Liverpool anything at this moment in time? You've got every reason to justify yourself, because it's horrendously how bad he's been.
They don't do themselves any favours, do they? With regard, they are prime fertile soil for conspiracy theories. The incompetent referees in the Premier League, I think, is the best way to put it. But yeah, anyway, thankfully it doesn't end up being a hugely telling incident in the game, and I'm not necessarily bang up for red cards in early stages of football matches and what have you. And But also, if it's a red card, it's a fucking red card.
I think half the problem is when VAR came in, they got a lot of stick for taking far too long over decisions, and it was breaking up the game. And I think in an effort to start making it a little bit quicker, they're just rushing some decisions. And from my perspective, I'm completely anti-VAR. I would get rid of it tomorrow, and I would be happy to accept that sometimes we're going to lose a game because of a horrendous decision. I like when a goal goes in, quick look at the linesman and go mad and celebrate rather than waiting in case it's been. But if we're going to do VAR, do it properly and make sure you get the right decisions, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
And if he can't watch a video for 3 seconds later, and or he can't talk to you and go, yeah, it bounced off his arm. Can someone not go, hang on a minute, can you just watch the next 4 seconds, please, lads?
Are we saying it was another good process?
It feels like it was.
Yeah.
It feels like it was.
That's process. That's incompetence. To not being able to.
It seems mad that you wouldn't just let the clip roll for a couple more seconds just to cover your back.
Because they saw what they wanted to see, and they wanted to check that it wasn't that because it never occurred to them that there was it would hit his arm / hand twice.
And they don't want to send someone off in the 10th minute or whatever of the first Premier League game, because they don't want to do that. They're there for the easy life. They just want the games to go on, and they don't want to be the centre of attention, and they just rush through things.
It feels like they changed the threshold for yellows as well, by the way. Anyone noticed that?
There's a lot more.
Bournemouth got away with a lot of stuff that you just it's just
even fouls, mate. I watched Arsenal versus United, and there were some legitimate fouls that was just play on. It feels like they've done that thing again when they changed the rules in the summer.
Yeah, right. Come on, look, fucking VAR chat. It's a long season. Let's do the fun stuff. Hugo Ekitike.
It's good, isn't he?
Oh,
delightful.
Oh, Chloe, I love him already. Obviously, getting off the mark in the Community Shield is a huge thing as well, but obviously it's always in that weird sort of grey territory of is it a friendly or is it a competitive game, whatever. It's a big 50p. But yeah, to go and do that in the Premier League, and it isn't smooth, but it is quite funny that the stuff that's going for him is stuff that never felt like it ever went for Darwin Núñez, but actually that is just the kind of stuff that goes for certain types of footballers and not for others. And if it continues to go his way, then cool. That will be very nice to have a bit of a stressless experience with our number 9. Yeah,
I remember watching the compilations of him, and I was so impressed by his link-up play more than anything. And I think that's what everyone went on. I think everyone went on the fact that, he may not be the best finisher, but his link-up play is really, really good. And my word, are we seeing that? He's got some suave about him. He's incredible. For how tall he is, you just think that everything should bounce off him. You feel like he should be awkward. And sometimes he does look awkward, but it's fine because he still looks great on the ball. But I really love his goal. Look, I thought Liverpool started well, and I thought he started well, but we kind of lost our way in that first half. And it took a moment of a bit of determination, a bit of magic, and a very calm head in the final third. And he goes and receives a ball off Verge to pass it 2 yards to McAllister, but he moved the ball on, and once he gives that ball to McAllister, he sees the space and he points exactly where he wants it. His first touch is good. He gets a ricochet, absolutely, but for even making that run, for doing the give and go and creating the space, you deserve that bit of luck sometimes, and it bounces back to him. And there's a lot of people in that moment. Your first Premier League game, your first Premier League game at Anfield, you can take your eye off the ball, you cannot be calm in that moment, and you can do something stupid. What he instead does is just sends the keeper the wrong way and simply passes it into an open net, and that's all we want. We want calm, level-headed, instinctive things in the final third, and yeah, his goal, he deserved it, but I gotta say his all-round play, he deserved to be man of the match, because it's his link-up that I'm so impressed with. It's the fact that he can touch it round the corner, and he's done a 50-yard sprint, and he's there. My only criticism, if I do have one, is can he head a ball better, please, because he could have had 3 headers by now.
Yeah. It's funny. No one's done the great touch for the big lad thing yet, so I'll do it. Let's throw it straight in there. And the Peter Crouch comparisons, because he was another one who was terrible actually heading the ball, because he never had to, like, in his whole life, never had to jump and make a proper connection with it. But yeah, no, I'm very impressed. It's how straightforward he's making things look. And Chloe, right to mention the ricochet for the goal, but Clive used to have that, and Ronaldo, proper Ronaldo, used to have that all the time. He used to talk about them bundling their way through into situations. It's an unquantifiable skill that certain players have, but it's very straightforward. He drops in, he points where he wants it, he runs through, it drops for him. It's not like it's not in the bottom corner. It does the keeper with the eye, sticks it away. There's your goal. And yeah, there's a big we're not waiting for him to to launch into his Liverpool career. He doesn't have to go 11 games or whatever it was Crouch went in that first instance. He's just here, he's up and running, and he's impressing us from minute one.
In terms of the ricochets, the one I always go back to is Suarez.
Yeah.
The finish was very Suarez.
Yeah,
Suarez loved that one. We just take the piss out of the goal.
The ricochets, you're right. Suarez did it too often for it to be him just getting lucky every time. There is an unquantifiable, I would say, skill to it. Certainly an uncoachable skill to it. And his work before he sort of goes for that 50-50 with Senesi is really good and is elegant. And I suppose you compare him to just like another big lad in the league, big signing this summer, Liam Delap to Chelsea, who is just a battering ram, and he will score some goals like the one that Ekitike gets last night from a ricochet and just find himself in some space. But Delap doesn't have anywhere near the touch or the elegance and quality that Hugo Ekitike has. You look even yesterday, I know we'll maybe come on to talk about in the Bias podcast, but you look at the two strikers up front for United and Arsenal, absolute plonkers compared to what we saw from Hugo Ekitike. Like, I am so glad we weren't in for either of them. And I had my doubts, slight doubts about the Ekitike signing, but my goodness, last couple of games, he has looked amazing. My only issue with him at the minute is the chant. I feel it's a little bit generic for a Liverpool chant. I hear that up and down the country.
We'll get a new one soon.
A library. So you hear that, but there's one going around Hotel Anfield, I think, where it was na na hey Hugo Ekitike na na hey. I think that's well better.
Yeah.
So if that's in any way reversible,
some people started that
games,
in 306 and then it just got drowned out.
The couple decides. Ultimately, we are right. It needs better.
I feel like at this point it's reversible.
Can we get properly?
Let's be perfectly honest. It's better than Hugo,
yes.
because that is so Darwin.
Yes.
And the guy sits by me who literally detested Darwin Núñez definitely in the latter stages, probably for his entire Liverpool career. I could feel him, but we're bristling at that of like, oh God, here we go again. We're making the same mistakes all over. And I had a little bit of that, but that I get it. Do. Isn't exactly like,
the Chiesa songs.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fun. You know what I mean? It's fun. It didn't take any thought. It felt very organic and quickly off the spot. It was going off in the Community Shield with it as well. Let him in a proper one with words. Now,
I don't mind Hugo immediately after he scored a goal, because in the 5 seconds after a goal scored, people are
what
still
about when he sprints 20 yards to block a ball?
Because
it felt like that's why I was singing Darwin Núñez.
Yeah.
I was going to say
slightly higher. So
he's tried.
It's interesting because, obviously,
he's put some effort in. Well,
Núñez scored in the Community Shield, and on Núñez's Premier League debut, he scored and got an assist. It's worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's also true. It's a very good point.
What I would say is that, and again, this is not a slander Darwin Núñez thing. This is just.
I'm glad he's doing well.
Ekitike looks a better fit for what we're trying to do. With Núñez, I think everyone was like, yeah, we can see what he's good at, but there are some rough edges. Like, you're going to have the second goal for Liverpool is Hugo Ekitike is a big part of that as well, and that's what you didn't necessarily see with Darwin. It's more with Núñez. Like, we were always trying to think, like, well, we're going to have to adapt to him, and he's going to have to learn a little bit of us. Excuse me, with Ekitike,
he can do everything.
It just fits.
Yeah.
Like, we had so many conversations last year of what does Arne Slot want from his striker. Why is he playing Luis Diaz up front? Well, he clearly wants someone who can link up, but also wants someone who can score a goal. And as of now, again, it's a very short sample size. He's played less than 2 full games, but he looks like he's get yourself a man who can do both, and he very much has been able to do that. And my biggest takeaway really is the pace. The pace is excellent. For that, I just presume usually when you get a link-up player, you think of a Bobby Firmino type. He just comes to mind straight away. Like, at number 10, he's way more explosive than that.
He's more Haaland-esque, I think, in his running. I think like that. Like it's surprising when
he gets going. That goal, like you say, the little touch and run. Again, because he is so tall, he eats the ground up and. He just looks like he can come short, but if you need him to run in behind, he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the fact that you can see his all-round game, and it's the touches that is. It feels like he's a striker where you can lob a ball at him and he'll take it down on his chest, on his head, and he'll hold the defender off and he'll bring others into play. However, you can also see how intelligent he is already. I mean, we've obviously seen the lovely, side foot pass that he does at the Charity Shield. But yesterday he was coming in short and he was realising, he was realising, I'm a little bit out of this game. I was in the game the first 5 minutes. I was doing really good, but now they're struggling to get the ball up to me. Fine, I'll go and find the space. I'll go and see where we need to pick it up, and I'll create the position in the space and I'll create the chance. But the second goal for me is, once he is on the last line now and he runs off the shoulder of a player, he points to exactly where he wants it, he gets the ball, but it's then a lot of players with the backs to goal like that, and maybe it's just because we had Darwin Núñez last, I'd expect him to take 4 touches and still not have it out of his feet. He takes 2 touches and he knows Cody Gakpo's there. Not a hard pass to do. It's possibly the simplest pass to do, but he just puts it in a space where Cody Gakpo doesn't have to check back.
You can always spot players who are doing things that are natural to them and those who aren't. And so Darwin dropping into the midfield never looked like his fit. It's like when Mignolet, when we started to say we playing out from the back, he could do it and he got better at it, but it was never his natural game to do it. And when you see someone who comes along and you go, right, okay, yeah, that's what we were looking for from that. And long season ahead for Ekitike certainly, but I agree. I think if we would actually we could be sat here after 2 games from him talking about his link-up play, and we'd be sat here quite pleased with how well he started his Liverpool career. And you can say, well, he fits all well, he's bringing people in. I like the way he uses his body and his strength, and but he's got a couple of goals and he's got an assist, and you're going, okay, great.
You're not having to convince yourself or anybody else, are you? No. His play's doing that for you. You're not like, oh, well, if he just works on this, he's going to get better, or even what you mentioned before, like natural position, like Luis Diaz was brilliant from centre forward, dropping in and linking up. But I never ever felt in that situation he would score. For example, I would argue more than often than not.
Get on the end of it after he's.
I think he was. His better skills, like Luis Diaz was fantastic at arriving in the box, headers and first time finishes. 1-on-1s, perhaps I wouldn't have always associated them with doing particularly great on. So, yeah, if we've been wondering for a while what Donana slot one from a striker. It turns out he wants lads who are boss at link-ups and boss at scoring goals. Like, yeah,
what he wants is a complete.
We could have guessed that really. And last one, there's no surprise Newcastle wanted him as their Isak replacement because he's got a little bit about. He's both he's boss on the halfway line and he's clearly effective in and around the penalty area as well. Like, if Liverpool do get, I'm going to talk potential later, if they don't get Isak and they end up going to get themselves another wide forward, for example, I don't think any of us should be massively over concerned that this guy's the centre forward, number one centre forward. He's more than good enough. The question would be they need more strength and depth, but he's from what I've seen so far, he's more than good enough to be our centre forward.
Yeah, very, very impressive. And you closest up on the link up with Gakpo, excellent stuff as well. And you can see them dovetailing because there's link up. Link up is passing it to each other. Dovetailing is when someone adopts the other's position and actually doesn't get the ball, but just make sure your system remains in the same sort of shape. So yeah, there's some encouraging signs.
That's a brilliant goal, by the way, by Cody Gakpo. Absolutely brilliant.
Because it's funny because it's an assist for Ekitike because he's the one who passes him the ball.
But he doesn't do much.
But he dribbles on. He has 3 more touches of the ball that open that opportunity before putting it away.
I think when you count assists, I think if you dummy a defender and knock it round him and score, you should get the goal and the assist.
For yourself.
Gakpo should get both.
Well, do you guys know who assisted Salah's goal? Because I only find this out this
morning. Endo.
It was Endo, yeah.
I remember him lobbing the ball up,
Well, we joke on here quite a lot of Alex Summer, Curtis Jones, Salah assists, where he just plays a 2-yard pass to him, Salah dribbles past 4 into the box and slots in.
I always go back to Van Dijk gets an assist for when Salah scored that goal against Chelsea. When Van Dijk just gave him 4 yards and Salah just rocked it past, assists and mad. But on Gakpo, what I would like with that goal very quickly, and actually most of our goals with this, they're good team moves. Like, I know it's a bit chaotic towards the end, but actually you can tell that link-up play there because it was even to get the ball into Ekitike to knock it off for Gakpo to come inside. Gakpo's another one, by the way, who I think if he doesn't score, it's really tough for him to impact games. There are certain players who, like you said there, we had a good game, we just didn't quite get a goal. Gakpo kind of drifts a little bit in games, and I think if he doesn't score, sometimes you don't appreciate what he's done. Like, he looks like a lad who, but what he can do, mate, he can score a goal. I
thought Gakpo was excellent, by the way. He looks so menacing. He
just looks dangerous. He looks like, because everyone knows he can score that goal. Every time he gets the ball, there's an expectation about it.
It reminded me of Coutinho's last half season for us, where, because people go, the Coutinho role. Coutinho played left wing for us. I'm sorry, I'm not having this like he played loads of 10 for us. He really didn't. He definitely had his moments, but like Coutinho was best for Liverpool when he got told, get more in the box before you take that shot. And that is Bobby Firmino playing centre forward for us. And then you've got someone to play off, and that allows you to be in the 18-yard box rather than outside it. And you can see, again, goes back to dovetailing, that should work very well for us this season. There's
a point first half when there's a big ball put over to him and there's a couple of defenders around him, and his touch is genuinely one of the best I've seen from a touch from like a 40-50 yard pass. Now he doesn't quite get his shot away, one of the defenders makes a tackle or something like that, but like there was only one place and weight of touch that would have had Cody Gakpo retain the ball in that situation at the pace he was running, and he made it. And I thought Gakpo looked really, really strong in pre-season, looked one of the sharpest, was a little bit concerned by his performance in the Charity Shield. And I do think as well, having Wirtz playing as a 10 rather than Szoboszlai means that maybe you have to do a little bit more going the other way, because Szoboszlai obviously legs it back into midfield and makes tackles. So I was a little bit concerned, are we going to be able to get him as close to the goal as what we want Cody Gakpo to be? But the way we played on Friday night, he was definitely able to get in those positions still.
Yeah, I want to talk about the thing for me which the game hung upon, and it was the manager's substitutions. Now
he's made better decisions, hasn't he?
Honestly,
I could have sworn that Jeremy Frimpong must have been injured.
He was.
Apparently, they said like tightness in hamstring, and it was precautionary. Right. But I also saw how they spoke to each other when he got off the pitch, and he looked a bit like he was a bit like, What are we doing here?
The manager after the game, he felt his hamstring, so he didn't want to risk it. So it looks like he's probably gone, I felt something, and the manager gone, right, you're coming off then. The interesting part...
Can I tell you what wasn't the right idea there?
Yeah, put Endo on.
It wasn't bringing Wataru Endo
on.
Right.
Okay, I had...
Although he does get an assist, so, you know what I mean?
That's sentiment.
Field, Chloe.
He was on the pitch.
It's worth mentioning the manager then says, I was told by my staff, Gomez can't do more than 20 minutes. Yes. And this was half an hour to go.
Right.
I have no issue with bringing Endo on there, and I had no issue with Robertson coming on for Kirkers, who was on a yellow card. Although that, by the way,
God, can he stay on his feet?
There's a massive
Josh
conversation
Williams
over there.
Has never been more correct.
Josh Williams, I imagine he's kept a lot of receipts from Twitter in recent weeks.
There's a massive Andy Robertson issue. We're going to talk about that in a moment as well. But if you bring Endo on, just put Szoboszlai right back, or Curtis Jones can play right back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wataru Endo can't play right back, man. And especially if at the same time you're taking Kirkers off for Robertson, we went from having absolute flying machines to having fucking locomotives. It was they were both so slow.
I think locomotives are pretty fast too, to be fair. But like,
it take a while to get going.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I think we made a tactical change as well. I think it was part of that. I think definitely, that. If Frimpong's got a precautionary issue, then absolutely fine. But I do think we tried to change the shape a little bit, because it became a little bit more Wirtz in behind the two of Ekitike and Salah. Gakpo dropped to basically left mid for a little spell of time there, and I was like, well, let's have a look and see what they do here. And I felt sorry for Szoboszlai, because Szoboszlai's the one who's taken the stick particularly for the first goal, but you could say for the second one, because in fact I'm gonna get this in the right order. Which one's the one with the flick?
Is the
first goal. So yes, and that's one of Slot's bugbears, is get a proper contact on the football rather than try flicks and tricks. But that move, a moment or two earlier, the ball breaks down and Endo's playing right back, and he holds his position as a right back, whereas Frimpong or Trent or Bradley just go and attack the ball, because they're more natural in it, and we keep them penned in. And because Endo doesn't, he then ends up going a stage later and blocking. We're out of balance because we've got Endo at right back. And then Szoboszlai does the flick, which breaks down, and Endo's totally unsure about where he should be. He doesn't go at first instance, then he goes late, and then he's out of position, and then we're on the back foot chasing back in. So I think Slot takes criticism for that. I know it's easy to go, Szoboszlai should be passing. Well, Slot fucked the substitution up, and I think he fucked the fucking system up a little bit in making that. So Szoboszlai got stick. And I thought Szoboszlai was brilliant.
He had a good game, but he has got tendencies to give the ball away where we can get counted on, and we're not set up. We are bad in transition at the moment. It doesn't help. Like I say, Endo. The issue when you bring Endo and Robertson on, that's fine, but don't ask them to do what you asked Frimpong and Kirkes. They only did. They are both very high up that pitch, and they've got no chance. With all due respect to David Brooks, he's a good player. He's not fast. That isn't his skill set, and he's miles away from Endo. And Canate nearly gets him, but it's so close. And then at the back...
It's a great ball. But that back post thing has happened the last season. Like, how many times have we looked at Robbo back post and gone, Jesus Christ, can you cover that better? Or like, it's been ricocheted and it's been an own goal because they've all got in each other's way. The ball is incredible. Absolutely incredible. But once again, we don't track the runners back post well enough. He's got in between both Virgil and Robbo. It also doesn't help because Canate had a stinker of a game of football. But yeah, the back post for me is quite worrying.
People say that about Canate, right? And we're going around a little bit. I thought he actually played quite well, but in transition it was horrendous. I think everything around him being all chaos isn't helping him. That back post, the problem there is Van Dijk should slide and just block the ball. Yeah. But when he doesn't, Liverpool have got a massive issue with Andy Robertson's legs at this moment in time.
It's the first goal, yeah. I think Virgil's really questionable for it.
Oh, he is. He should slide. He absolutely should slide.
He's almost like playing an offside, but the ball was pulled back from the bylines.
But what I would say, mate, Semenyo is... but he's miles away from Robertson. And this isn't Andy Robbo not trying or not reading. Andy Robbo reads the run. He sees exactly what's going to happen. He just can't get there. And this is what I go back to Kirkes on the diving in thing to go full circle. You can't take stupid yellow cards because we cannot be subbing you off. Like that. The reason he's off the pitch is because Liverpool are terrified he's going to get sent off. And therefore you got to bring Robbo on, and unfortunately at this moment in time I hope it's just a pre-season thing, but Robbo looks slow.
Andy Robertson, it's funny because I was watching Match of the Day back this morning and
when he blames Kirkes,
they blame Kirkes. Kirkes' position, they highlighted but Kirkes underneath. I was like, that was absolutely Andy Robertson.
If it was Kirkes, he'd have caught him. And if it was Frimpong, he would have caught the other lad.
If it's Kirkes, he probably slides and takes a red.
Robertson probably doesn't get as much stick because basically BBC fucked it up in terms of labeling.
He looked leggy, didn't he? And he'd only just come on as well. That was a concern. But also, I think in both goals, I thought Van Dijk for the most part, and if you look at all the stats, he had a good game, but on both goals,
he's not commanding.
He's a bit passive. And on that one, he has to slide. He should know. It takes one look over the shoulder to see, I've got Andy Robertson in a foot race with Antoine Semenyo. I've got a rough idea who's going to win that foot race. So I don't think Virgil deals with it particularly well.
Well, again, going back to it, Carragher slaughtered Canate in commentary, which I wasn't aware of in the ground. And I was on Sky Saturday night, and I kind of said that. And obviously, I'm aware Carragher was in the ground too. But what I mean is Carragher gets the sides on vantage point and the replays. I didn't really I thought Canate was fine on the night, but of course, he's only near me for one half of football. He's down the other end for the other one. I thought, and it goes back to how many times you chant Ibu's name because he's in the right place, intercepting and clearing and doing all the Ibu Canate things. Yeah. But he's supposed to be the aggressive front foot defender, and when he's legging away from stuff, and Van Dijk, that's what Van Dijk does. Van Dijk makes sure that you've always got coverage in terms of bodies in those sort of areas. Van Dijk's
the one who will make the striker choose the harder option. Like, the pass might have been easier if Ibu Canate actually, engaged with Semenyo for the second goal. But, I mean, I've got to say, it is absolutely... I mean, it's hysterical because we won. But how a lad is allowed to carry a ball 70 to 80 yards and you're two centre-halves, by the time he shoots, he's practically on Alisson's lap.
Ibu Canate should be bodying him.
Exactly.
They did the right thing. They did everything right. They blocked off the passing lanes. They blocked off the passing lanes. They made him take the hard shot. They did everything right, and then neither of them tried to block the fucking shot. Yeah. It's like, use a defender that's perfect. It's 4-on-2. Virgil's cut that pass off, and Canate got himself in an amazing position because there's two lads there.
Apart from the bit where he's then running away from the man.
He's on his arse.
But then at that point, the second Semenyo cuts inside, all he can do is shoot, and someone's just got to smash him.
I just thought even first 20 minutes, Evan Nielsen, who from my perspective is a pretty ordinary Premier League striker, was just giving him all sorts of think there's one where he puts out for a corner. There's a couple of hairy moments on the ball. I think he has a really shaky start to the game. I hate that Ibu chant as well, for the record. But the second goal, I don't mind it. People are giving Van Dijk stick and
fucking chant, please. Come on here and deny people fun.
I'm on for a hat trick here.
That Chiesa song bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
Absolutely fine. We'll come on to talk about that, I'm sure. The second goal, people are having a go at Van Dijk. Van Dijk backs off so he can keep his stats but not being dribbled past and all that nonsense. Listen, Van Dijk does the right thing. Canate for 9/10 of it does the right thing, but
got to go and block the shot.
He's on the penalty spot and he's still backtracking. So there's a point where you have to do the ball, and like if Semenyo didn't take the shot, I reckon like he would have just walked it into the net, and Ibu would have been in the net because that's the way he's going. It was ridiculous.
It was
and
poor.
On the fullbacks, I thought like Kirkes. Obviously, very questionable game. Put it down to a bit of overexcitement. I think I described him as potentially Moreno with a brain on a previous show.
Whereas at the Community Shield, the fellas behind me were calling him Alberto Moreno all game long, and I was like, "Oh my God, don't rise to this."
The thing that we need to remember is Alberto Moreno had loads of discernible qualities. He just didn't have a brain. So I thought if we can get the Moreno physical qualities with a brain, that would be amazing. Yeah. Unfortunately, Friday night was just Alberto Moreno.
Can I ask something as well? I'm a little bit concerned with that. The team who knows him better than everybody else targeted them. Like they changed their best player to stick him on him and then just keep long balls over to him. And Kirkes is tiny, so he was going to lose them. But it's a bit of a concern. Like I say, Iriola knows that playing up better than anyone else. And rather than go, we'll keep it away from him, because teams never go down our left because Van Dijk's there. They've actively chosen to go after our left back. Yeah. Just something to keep an eye on because...
You have to target somewhere. Like I remember, I think
we're just used to being the right, aren't we? We're just used to being the right.
Recently that the Watford manager took them in 5 years ago and said we're going to target Andy Robertson. Yeah, because Liverpool have no weaknesses, but he's slightly worse than Trent. So you do have to target somewhere. And maybe it's not necessarily they thought he was the weak link, just that they knew what his strengths and weaknesses are. But
they did move Semenyo. He usually plays left, and they did switch him to the right to go at.
So that's probably happening in training all the time last year. But I perhaps a little bit naively thought, when we signed Frimpong and Kirkes, that Frimpong was going to be the one that was going to be defensively suspect, because Frimpong was very much a system player, didn't have to do as much going backwards, and his recovery pace helped him. Frimpong is overexcitable and he is really quick, but he gets back and then he slows down, gives himself a couple of yards, which is how you defend, whereas Kirkes just sort of nails him.
Honestly, that slide, he was the most telegraphed thing you've ever seen. It was so obvious.
He should have just stopped the game and give himself a yellow card.
That's going to look amazing when it comes off, but when it doesn't, it's a yellow card.
This is the thing about the slide tackle thing, because one of the things you mentioned, Josh, of Deep Dive fame, was getting slaughtered for picking out on him for a training clip, and he said, "No, I've been saying this all along." It was like, "Wow, slide tackles," and then people putting pictures of the fucking Bradley slide tackle, and it's like, yeah, pick your moments for it. Yeah. And that's the thing. Certain players just have got a tendency to play in certain ways. Going to ground it just doesn't happen in football.
It should be a last resort.
Exactly. Because if you get that wrong, it is a guaranteed booking, or you're guaranteeing that you're taking yourself out the game, and no one wants that. Your fullback should be able to still tuck back in and keep it compact. And if he's on the deck, he can't.
Can I say one more thing, though, mate, on this? Hopefully, Gravenberch improves this when he comes back in, because we are dreadful in transition. And I understand this, getting caught up the pitch with players and going for the third goal. That's what Arne Slot wants. We're going to have to stick to it. He said to Jamie Carragher asked him, and he said, "No, we're."
It's mad though, because last year that wasn't obviously what he wanted, and yet he had a different group of players.
Yeah, but I think he did. Yeah, but nobody did. But if you look, Gravenberch would be there though. That's the difference.
I get what you're saying, but I still think last season, how many times did the words of "only if you are guaranteed to get us in behind one-on-one are you doing that pass"? We do not do risks.
No, it's not the pass. Sorry, we're getting confused. I'm not talking about the pass. I'm talking about the number of people.
But I don't think Robbo is that high usually for me. Not both of them in terms of where Robbo is for that 2-0 up. Robbo should not be there where he is.
I think
when Semenyo is the lad, and he's got pace. If it was someone who didn't have as much pace, maybe sure you can take the risk. But no, the player who
but the manager disagrees though. So Robertson is now out of position because Robertson's where the manager wants him. Yes. My problem is with no Gravenberch, both our midfielders are there as well.
It's worth pointing out, by the time the second round of substitutions come on, we've got a team full of wingers on the pitch. We're going. Our two holding midfielders was Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones, who are both come through the ranks as left wingers and a left winger and a right winger. And we're going, well, they're playing joint six for us, cool. And we accept that because they've got the skill set to do it, absolutely. But these are not guys who natural inclination is to them, particularly Szoboszlai, who's he's been playing 10-ish for us last year. And again, go back to I thought Szoboszlai's all-round game I thought was excellent for us. You know, I thought the energy they displayed, the amount of times he shut things down, getting up and down the pitch, he gets to use his pace because of where he is on the pitch. But there is a touch of naivety there. They've clearly gone. They've clearly gone to go and put the game to bed, and in doing so, it's gone wrong.
The only thing I would say though is that I can't sit here and not say I literally slaughtered Spurs under Ange, because I just thought it was absolute naivety all over the pitch. You're 2-0 up. Sometimes you can just shut up shop. How many times is Liverpool team been good?
I think we tried to shut up shop. I think the substitutions were part of us shutting up shop.
Well, he takes a striker off to bring him a midfielder on. So he's clearly, what I'm saying is, I think he's happy with the positions. It's just dreadful to give the ball away there. And then, unfortunately, those lads aren't quick enough to get back. So it's a but also, there's one too many midfielders ahead of the ball. It's usually Ryan Gravenberch. So I'm okay with the fullbacks being high, and I'm okay with having strikers around the box. But you should never be left with 4-on-2. It should be at best 4-on-3. I hope Gravenberch coming in. It's the manager's got a decision to make.
You're dead right.
The manager's got a decision to make though, because someone's not playing. And he's got, Verse, McAllister or Szoboszlai aren't playing, and all three I've got lay claim. You've got to play Verts. He's a £150 million player. So,
Dom's your energy.
It feels like Dom and Maka, because of the injury, might be he can get away with it a little bit. But the concern for me in all of pre-season and all of what I saw the other day is there is a massive space where people can run at your defenders, and there are very few centre backs in the world who have got. If Semenyo's running at them like that, are going to look amazing. Yeah. Like that's a really tough place to be 4-on-2. You've got to be more careful with the ball. Salah's pass is dreadful. Yep. Szoboszlai's flick is dreadful. You're killing us. Like if I'm Van Dijk and Kanate, I'm going, what are you doing? Just
it's right. It's the first game of the season. Let's.
I have seen this in pre-season though. Every time I've in pre-season games, I've looked at our defence and thought, Jesus Christ. And I tell you what, I've seen them from afar in pre-season. I was high up in the gods for some of those games. But when I was on the Kop and I saw them have a corner, I thought to myself, good God, there's Hugo Ekitike and Gakpo and Verge, and then I'm slightly I've then just got Florian Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez. I was like, there was hardly any height here. You've got Salah on the edge of the box as well. That was more noticeable for me, and I knew that was something we were going to have to deal with, and maybe that's why we did bring in Ekitike as well, from those situations.
Ultimately, we'll see. I agree. I'm not sitting here and saying it's right. It's not. But also,
it's a first game.
It's the first game of the season.
Without your DM.
With lads playing in different positions, particularly the
Gravenberch will make such a difference.
Szoboszlai can afford to do that when he's playing in the 10. Because he's got two lads behind him whose job it is to do that. Whereas actually that was his job, to keep that door a little bit more shut. And you're right, we still haven't played a game yet with Gravenberch and McAllister all pre-season. We haven't therefore played them with our first choice back four behind them, and even the goalie who missed a few bits.
What do you think, Paul, is the manager's long-term plan? Because Wirtz is going to play and Gravenberch's going to play. Do you think it is McAllister over Szoboszlai?
But I think we're a little too wedded to this idea of it's what's our best 11. I just think there's going to be.
I'm talking balance in terms of what's the best balance of the team, because I'm looking at Newcastle and I think you really want Szoboszlai's energy.
Let's be honest that if Frimpong hadn't had a tight hamstring, he'd have stayed on, and we probably don't have the same issue as a result of it. Yeah. If Bradley's fit, Bradley comes on for him, and you've not got the same issue. You've got Gravenberch to chuck into the mix is a thing. That team that had McAllister and Szoboszlai as two holding mids was we were on path for a 3 or 4-0 win until the substitutions, because we were just making chances and we were looking really good with it. Might they have hit us on the transition? Maybe, but. It was the substitutions that did us for me, not necessarily a massive systemic. That's our best team that's getting undressed. Endo, I love Endo and I love the things that he does well, but he should be nowhere near any position in that team.
He can't be right back. He can't.
I don't even think he can be.
10 minutes to go. Get Endo on to shut the game down. You're right,
but if that, he's not good on.
And by the way, sometimes managers learn things about players. Yeah. There's a world where you go, you know what, we need to shut down right back. Brooks is getting in the game. I'll stick Endo on him. and then you've just learned, no, we can't play right back. That's fine, just don't do it again.
You might be able to, you change the system round and that to
flat
give
back
a little bit more.
There's a little bit too many changes of system that aren't working over the last couple of games. So once Ekitike goes off in the Charity Shield, he goes to the 2 number 10s, and it just doesn't work as far as I'm concerned, and it is as much evidence as you need that we need more forward options there, because that cannot be the plan B.
Can I just jump in there, because I was critical of that, and I think given that we sold lads, plus obviously the Diogo situation as well, we were short. He didn't use any of the lads, and he said, "I'm not using Chiesa because he's only just back," and I went, yeah, of course he's defo for sale. Well, actually, him keeping Chiesa back means that he's definitely available to come on Friday and have the impact.
I get that, but when you look at last season, you know, there's options there of Diaz, obviously Jota's taken out of our hands, Nunez, and towards the end of the season, Chiesa. There were 4 number 9 options, where it feels like it's Ekitike now, and if you want to go for an out-and-out number 9, like for like, you have to throw Chiesa on there. So he does it in the Charity Shield. He goes to the 2 number 10s. On Friday, there's 3 or 4 changes to the system which don't work, and it's changing hands every 5 minutes, which is really worrying for me. So he does Endo right back, and Robertson left back, and the way Kirkes especially was playing, I get like a nice warm cozy feeling when those 2 players comes on. Okay, I know what I'm dealing with here. Realised very quickly actually there was a reason we bought new fullbacks, so that doesn't work. Gomez comes on after that. Now we'll give him a pass on that one because Gomez couldn't play the minutes that if he came on the same time as what Endo did. But that's one change. Ekitike comes off. He tries the same thing again with Wirtz up front. That doesn't work. He takes Wirtz off, and it's Federico Chiesa acting as number 9. Now, we all know, having watched Liverpool last season, to get to a point where Arne Slot puts Federico Chiesa on the pitch as a number 9, things need to be going pretty badly. That is as much of a Hail Mary as Arne Slot will ever do. Comes up trumps in the end, but I think our first team and the front 4 that we're playing at the moment, especially with Ekitike, looks really, really strong. Hopefully Isak comes in. We'll see how we play, with that. But right now, if one cog of that front 4 comes out, I feel like we're jumping at different
We're 100%
plans.
light in numbers, but it was encouraging that he does clearly, he's prepared to use Chiesa in that situation, which he clearly wasn't last week. So we can take what he said at face value a little bit, which is nice to know. But I agree. I think he experimented with a few tactical things, but once they weren't working, it was good to see that he went, well, I fucked that up, I'm going to change it again, and actually till he got the balance right.
It takes some humility to go, shit, like Endo can't be me right back. What am I doing? Like post nut clarity or something. You just gone, probably need to fix that. Let's get it. And midfield, Joe, on get yourself on. Listen, can we have someone who can play centre forward up front, please? Go on, Fed, get on.
Absolutely, and I'm good on him. And look, we've gone dramatically over time here on this section, but we have to do Chiesa because it'd be mad not to.
We've only been going an hour, Paul. We've got time.
We've been going on. I think Chiesa's waited, and I think he's waited patiently. Chloe, I'm beyond made up for him that he got to have that moment, and it's funny because we keep forgetting, or maybe stuff. I don't know. Chiesa's brilliant. He was on the pathway to being a genuinely world-class footballer. Whether injuries have robbed him of that, and injuries plus moving to a league where you've got to be all physicality and all that kind of thing is not necessarily worked in his favour. But, he's clearly not spat his dummy out. He's worked his bollocks off for it. He's shown humility throughout the way. And I know Slot talked about how that was the situation where he wants to turn to his bench and find Jota there and be able to bring him on. Well, obviously he can't. Somebody has to rise in those kind of situations. It's such a joy watching Chiesa actually in the moments leading up to it, because he could just throw his body at that. It's there, jump up and try and get a header, but a couple of times he just steps away and lets it just unfold in front of him, so he's in the perfect position. The finish is ridiculous, by the way, and it's one of the all-time moments. And so I'm going to sit here as well and say, defensive issues, blah blah blah. I would take that victory over a straight 4-0 victory any day of the week.
And look, the other thing I would say is, how many times I've said it's vital to keep him just because of the song, and the reason is you see him get changed to come off, and us as a fan base go, oh, okay, well I can sing about something now. I've just been fuming at the fact that we've let a 2-goal lead slip, but I actively had something to sing and something to get behind. And Chiesa comes on and the ground bounces again, because we've got a song that we can therefore tap into, and it's a song that's got a swear word in, it's a song that people love, and it bounces. And like you said there, I think the ball over to Salah is really good. I think the Sobbo basically telling Salah to leave it so he can do the flick back. The ball by Salah is really good. But unlucky for Curtis Jones not to get on the end. But like you said there, Chiesa recognises the danger that Konate and Curtis Jones are basically on top of that situation. Let me give myself a couple of yards in case it bobbles off one of them or the keeper punches it and it comes my way. And the finish, it is a volley. Like, people are not understanding how good of it. Like, at first, I thought he'd accidentally swiped at it and he'd just caught it, and it's not dribble pass, but you know when someone slices it.
Yeah,
I thought at first, I thought at first he must have sliced that for where it's gone, but actually he gets a really good connection on it. And it's just being aware of where the football might drop in the box. And he gave himself the yards, he gets the goal, and honestly, Anfield goes into bedlam. The 3 minutes later, where this song is just bouncing around all four stands, everybody's up on their feet. Like, it's incredible of a moment for him. But also, his knee slide's perfect. Apparently he got told, can't do them anymore, your ACLs, don't be doing knee slides. He scores his first ever Premier League goal and does an unbelievable knee slide cop end.
It was like a power slide.
Stunning. He even turned it round. And yeah, I think he fully deserves that moment. I'm so glad he got that moment, and hopefully that's also a turning point for him, because then Fabrizio Romano comes out and says the decision's changed. He wants to stay, he wants to fight for his place, and he wants to help. And then Slot comes out and basically says, it's great that when you can call upon these players, he has moments like that. So hopefully that's a turning point for him as well, because we all love him.
He's clearly not the rough and tumble player that like Diogo was. He's not going to go in and get himself into the muck of a football match. But he's class, man. He looks like he's got his pace back as well. He just looks fit. He looks sharp. Can he stay it? Who knows? But that moment, we'll have that moment forever. So yeah.
I hope it's a Origi moment.
Yeah.
I said that on the last show. Origi was on his way out, and then he got a moment, and then before you know, he scored in the cup finals. And the thing with Chiesa, he's had 4 seasons in his career where he's got double-digit goals. Like, he knows how to score a goal. Yeah. I think of all the players on the pitch, he might be obviously you want that to fall to Mo Salah or Cody Gakpo. After that, you're probably looking at Chiesa, because we know he can do it, and he isn't a striker, so but like, it is a striker's goal in terms of like predicting. There's no luck that he's in the right place at the right time. So I think I've said for a while,
it's not a centre half. You know what I mean? It's not launching Van Dijk up and just like, I'm just going to kick it in the general direction. It's a cultured finish.
But also, credit to Liverpool for not panicking, because there is a world where some teams just stick it on the centre half head. Harry Maguire yesterday, for example, just go long and try and do that. Liverpool were still playing footy. That goal becomes from an attack that's recycled by Van Dijk back to us, and Liverpool keep playing. On him very quickly, on Chiesa, he has to stay. We haven't got enough players for a start. I just hope the manager starts trusting him more. Every time we've seen him, bar Plymouth, which was a shit show for everybody, he's always done what he's been asked to do. And I felt like he became the whipping boy for that Plymouth defeat. Like, we expected better. Well, Luis Diaz was in that game and he was rubbish, and Harvey Elliott was garbage. And
sold him, mate.
maybe I'm going through the names now. Actually, you might be right, but I think you've got to trust him. 5th or 6th option. That is a much better play than the other options.
My point on the Chiesa thing is, if he's 6th choice forward last season and you sell players and he ends up 4th choice, then you've weakened your attacking options, because he hasn't earned the right to be Liverpool's 4th choice. He hasn't worked his way up the pecking order. He's like accidentally almost ended up there because you're waiting on the other players to come in. If we buy one more for the forward line, that pushes him down to 5th. With Rio and Gamoa in the mix, I'm actually quite happy with that. Reasonably happy. We'll have to see. Until we see Ekatike play anywhere other than centre forward, there'll be a few doubts over that. But if he's fit, you can do a lot worse than put. There's teams who would give anything to have Chiesa available to them, and we've got him.
Credit to him as well, because the song is brilliant. Like, he hasn't bitched and complained about it. Yeah. I mean, we've seen players who've come out leaking stories in the press. He's like, at other teams, Marcus Rashford just brings to mind, for example. There's plenty of others. I'm not playing, get me a move. He's always maintained, like, he's quite happy. Yeah, so absolutely. Fair play to him.
Right, sorry, Andy, we're going to have to move on from this. But yeah, good on him. Amazing moments, and this is what we live for. You know, that's why we watch football, we go to. That's why I say, like, I get the idea that there's things to be improved upon. They know that. The manager knows that. The coaches know that. The players know that. And people, I saw some in the comments saying, can't keep saying it's pre-season, it's first game of the season. Well, we can't, because it'll be the second game of the season next time. It's all about getting up to speed. When you start to see more of what we're doing, and regular familiarity, was the 4 new players in that starting 11. These are the slight fine margins you lose, but you've got to get 3 points. These first 3 games, 4 obviously would have been counting the Community Shield, 3 league games. Get your points on the board and worry about what happens. Worry about what happens after that. Right, transfer stuff after the break. Very short break from us. When we return, we're going to talk Leone, Doak, and perhaps a little bit on Isaac and Guihi again, because why not?
Hey everyone, how would you like to win this? Hold it up for them, Errol. This is a Liverpool shirt signed by 2 icons of the football club, Steve McMahon and Ronnie Whelan. Medals and trophies galore. At the end of August, we'll be giving that shirt away to one of our Redmen Plus Legend subscribers. If you want to be in the draw to win that, and every single month we do these sign competitions as well, head on over to redmenplus.com, become a Legend subscriber, you'll be in the draw. If you are one of our Captain subscribers, simply upgrade your account, become a Legend, and at the end of August, Errol, someone will be winning what is an absolute beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, we love this.
redmenplus.com, become a Legend.
Hey, yes, welcome back. We have got an amazing offer over on Redmen Plus for you guys right now as well. So if you're thinking new season optimism, I just need more amazing Liverpool content in my life. Well, if you want to get a yearly subscription, we can give you one for 50% off right now. Head over to redmenplus.com, choose a Captain Tier yearly subscription and use the code REDS, REDS. It is the biggest discount that we offer at any given point in a year. So this is the perfect time to do it. Get a full year. It's going to take you all the way through to this time next year when everyone's bedded in, and I presume Liverpool have signed 7 more footballers. So yeah,
the 2021 title parade, Champions League final. Sorry, number 21.
Right, yeah. I was going to say that's just taking us back 5 years in time,
Yeah,
but that's
the 21st.
I don't enjoy 2021.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, I got that wrong.
Anyway, the code's good, even if Steve's description of it isn't. Transfer stuff, Leone in. It's less than what was being reported a week ago. It's around the 25, 26-ish, 27-ish. Yeah, which is a lot of money for a young lad like that. But for me, Steve, look, time will tell. He's far too. He's obviously brilliant for his age, but it's far too young to make any cast iron decisions on whether he's going to be good enough, how many minutes he's going to play. Who knows at this point? But Liverpool have very clearly been in the market for this bracket of centre half, going back to Yoro last year, Dean Huijsen, Levi Colwill a year before, a year or even 2 before at this point. Branthwaite was being watched for the longest spell. We're clearly in the market for, I think, when you're looking at how you balance out your options, it's always very obvious in goalkeeping terms. You want a prime age goalkeeper, you want someone who's maybe a little bit past it, and you want a young one to learn. In centre back terms, if you've got Van Dijk and you've got Canate, you want a young lad to learn, and then you want maybe another senior option, which might bring us on to the Guihi conversation as well.
Yeah, it feels like Liverpool are doing. If everything goes well, and then you've got Virgil's replacement. That's the absolute ideal. 2 years before you need to go and buy Virgil's replacement. Because if this lad in 2 years' time is as good as what people think he's going to be, he's a £70 million player, and you're trying to compete with everybody in Italy to get him. So they've got £26 million for an 18-year-old with less than 35 senior games is un-Liverpool.
Yes.
Like, that's just not how we act usually. So they must think he's brilliant. Maybe they've got wins. Again, I know Juventus, Inter Milan were reported, so they must think he's great. I don't know what to expect this year. You are right, because when's he going to play? Ideally for Liverpool, he's going to be 5th choice. Mm-hmm. So that's a long way down the pecking order. So maybe you can bed him in. He's 18, playing for the 21s if you have to. But you didn't mention Joe Gomez there before when you mentioned those other two. You talk about Mark Guehi and whether he comes in. So ideally, he's going to be 5th choice. You don't really ever want to be seeing your 5th choice, get him in the League Cup games or whatever. But I go back to it. They must think he's brilliant. Because that is not a Liverpool move. Liverpool sell teenagers for £25 million. They don't buy them at this age. So they must have seen something really, really smart with him. And what it might do, it might just give him that time, no pressure, let him bed in and get himself settled, because he's clearly physically gifted, you can see that, and the limited YouTube experience that I've got of watching him is just kicking people and heading things and blocking things, and that's brilliant at that age. He usually, when you put a teenage centre-back in, you worry about the physicality. He's not that, he's a giant. He's got to learn the other thing, so I wouldn't be expecting to see too much of him, but I'm excited by the fact that I trust Edwards and Hughes, and if they think he's this good, then fair play, go and get him.
I mean, there is a slight flip to that of eventually when you go down the list of who's out there that fits your profile, he might be the last one before you're getting into what's the point territory. And particularly when you've sold Quansah, it offers the question of like, what was the point of letting Quansah go? Now, at the moment, he's not necessarily an upgrade on Jarell Quansah because he's got Premier League experience and he was already embedded in the squad, and you knew he could just about play. He could play 3 of the 4 positions at varying degrees of quality, of course. This probably makes more sense, Chloe, if we do go and get another centre-back in, which again, at the moment looks like it's going to be Mark Gahey, but, you know, to be determined, of course, on that. But as kind of Steve's saying there, if he's 4th or 5th choice, cool. We'll see how he develops throughout the season. That is a sign of quality and depth, though, because historically for me, when I hear 4th and 5th choice, again, I just think of so many just lads who've filled holes in squads over the years. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like we're future planning.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't want to say Rhys Williams or Nat Phillips, but we basically kept them around as insurances just in case, you know, anything ever happened. And thankfully they came up trumps for us, you know, a couple of times. But this is a lad who Liverpool hopefully think is the next best or in the next best clutch of players. And like you said there, he might be the last one on the pecking order from the Lenny Yoro, the Levi Colwill, and then Dean Huijsen. But at the same time, if, you know, the next bracket of players aren't there just yet, Liverpool are going to have to go and try and take the risk for, if he is as good as they think he is in a couple of years' time, you know, like you said there, he could be your Virgil replacement or on the way to being that. Or he's a player who you can keep the value and you can turn back over. But like you said there, Liverpool don't usually bring in teenagers for this amount of money, which makes me think that Liverpool think they've got a special player on the hands, which is always good. But you can expect a more senior player to come in to challenge Konate and to also challenge Virgil if needed. Because, you know, that's the safe route and the safe option for us. So, yeah, we still need another body in, a more experienced body. Mark Gay, English as well, fits that bill. So I'd expect that to ramp up in a couple of days as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the centre-back thing, Andy, has been the one big glaring hole in Liverpool's business so far. And again, a problem that they kind of made for themselves by letting Quansah go, really. And so my take at the time was, whoever you bring it in needs to be better than Quansah, but that's where I'm unsure on whether this guy's that or not. Again, time will tell. If we don't get anyone else, then if we don't get anyone else in to play centre half this summer, then net body wise, with exactly where we were last year, albeit there'll be question marks over whether Joe Gomez can do it, but also there's always question marks over whether Gomez can do it. If we do get another in, then that's depth like we haven't seen probably ever, really, at Liverpool.
And if things go as they went last year, i.e. Ibu Konate barely getting injured, then it's absolutely fine to have the same numbers. If Ibu Konate reverts to getting injured a little bit more, for example, what we've seen in the first couple of years, then that becomes a little bit of an issue, I think. So I think it is important to get that 5th centre-half, and it all depends on whether they think the upturn in Ibu Konate's ability to stay fit is due to Arne Slot's fitness methods compared to Jurgen Klopp's, or just a bit of luck. But we'll obviously have to see in that. And sometimes it can be...
Sorry to jump in. There is also the outside possibility that Konate gets sold before the end of the window as well, which I don't think people are talking about so much, but obviously that would be totally predicated on getting Mark Gay, you'd imagine.
Well, and I don't think Konate has been quite back to his best ever since that injury against Real Madrid. First 4 months of that season, I thought he was as good as Virgil. Him and Virgil, absolutely the best centre-halves in the league. Certainly best centre-half partnership in the league, if not in the world. But since that, I think he's been a little bit shaky, and I'm not sure if it's anything to do with that injury. But I do think, as I think you said last week on the show, Steve, if Mark Gahey comes in, I think he's going to play a little bit more than what people will expect. I'm not saying there will be a first choice too, and that's going to be what it is through the whole season. But I think he'll get his games, and I think there's a possibility, depending on where we're at with Leone and how we see him, it could be that he plays for the 21s a little bit. He gets the odd League Cup game, gets the odd maybe game in Europe when we've got top 8 secured, touch wood. But it might be that he comes in, takes his chance and really impresses. And, we've seen 18-year-olds good enough to play at this level before. Dean Huyson, one of the best centre-halves in the league last season for Bournemouth. So depends where his level's at. And none of us have watched Parma, so we're not entirely sure. But you're right.
How presumptuous of you. Yeah, no, it's true.
Not because it's not on Channel 4, Channel 5, is it anymore? Like it used to be.
Kind of fan. That's how you
And
put
also
them.
Serie A stock should say.
But what I would say is, there's a couple of things that we've done over the years which aren't very Liverpool. We signed Nione as a 15-year-old for a record. I think Enkumo is a record fee. So Liverpool are happy to pay the big bucks if they're fairly sure that this person's the next big thing to stop another team stealing a march on us. And fingers crossed, that's what we've done.
The other thing is, I think Verge and Slot have came out and said that the only reason Virgil played the Treasure Shield was because we had absolutely no one. So bringing Leone and Mark Gay in, if he does come in, that helps that situation out for, Joe Gomez could only play 20 minutes the other night. It's a case of having that other body in, that you're not stretching the team, because Verge wasn't good the other day in the Charity Shield, and you can blame the fact that he literally was out for 5 days with an illness, and he was just expected to come back in. So if that does happen throughout the season, you get a couple of little knocks or precautionary, you don't want to start them, it's good to have that next senior centre back in there to just offer the cover, so that you're not putting, Konate might have a little niggle here and there. Okay, well, we can just put Gay in for that game and work Konate back up to speed.
When we sign Gay here, if we sign Gay here, I think he is the starter by Christmas. I just think he's better. Okay. I just think he's better than Konate. And the Leone one's interesting because we are right saying this, but he has just left the Serie A team to come to Liverpool, so I wonder what assurances he's been given on game time. I was saying I'll put him in the 21s. He'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but he's right. We do this a lot sometimes, where we go, well, he's playing for the Serie, but he's not playing for
Inter Milan.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
I get you. 17 place.
Coming to Liverpool, I know we're biased, and that's the point. But you're coming to the Champions League, you're coming to a team that's got aspirations of winning the Champions League. There's a reason why, Federico Chiesa, there will have been half a dozen Serie A clubs who would have happily taken him this summer, I'm certain of it, because that's just the way things like that work, and countless other those footballers, we're operating at a level there that's it's desirable to be in and around Liverpool, not necessarily be our first choice.
I just wonder, because if these Italian teams want him, he was probably going to play. I wonder what Liverpool have told him, is what I'm saying. Last one, his name translates to Johnny Lion. Johnny Lion. What a name that is.
Wow.
Why wouldn't you want Johnny Lion?
He's defo got like a Nigel Farage poster at home, hasn't he? Someone called Johnny
Freddie
Lion.
Church as well. Freddie Church.
Yeah.
Johnny Lion, what a name.
Yeah. We had a couple of super chats before we did the last couple of bits here. Stephen Richards says, this is for Chloe. After match reports, our boss.
Thank you. Are you sure it was last time, even though I couldn't speak?
There were a lot of people concerned about you on that video. Like you went.
I can speak now, thankfully. So all's okay.
Steve LFC says, in your honest opinion, do you really think we need Isak?
Yeah.
Or should we go for a winger like Barcola? I mean, yeah.
I'll take either.
Yeah, do both. Fine, let's just be greedy. It doesn't make sense, because we're in that world where we did this at the start of the summer. What are Newcastle doing? Newcastle are not having both of them. Idiots. Well, are they going to buy both Ekatike and Isak? How are they going to fit them in? Oh, but we'll be fine. We'll do it absolutely fine. To my point before, I can see Ekatike drifting out to the left-hand side in football matches, and sometimes we get a bit too obsessed with starting positions or fixed positions or whatever. You want less of that. And I think you look at PSG, you've got lads who are, he's playing, Ousmane Dembele's playing centre-forward, cool. Try telling that to the centre-halves that he's playing against who haven't seen him for 15 minutes because he's dribbling over on the far.
Arne Slot is obsessed with PSG, and he mentions them all. Last year it was Nottingham Forest beating us, and then after PSG beat us, he was just obsessed with PSG. So you are right. We just need more bodies. Mm-hmm. So with Liverpool, it'll be interesting how the Isak thing goes. I've always had the suspicion they're going to wait to try and get past this game and see how it goes. But I really hope Liverpool have got like a secondary option, because Arne Slot said pre-game with Sky interview was that we need at least one more forward. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
Liverpool do need to do something. So I hope this isn't the case of like when we didn't sign Virgil or didn't sign Konate. It was like, well, we'll just wait. I don't think Liverpool are in the position to wait. So I hope there is a plan B. Listen, if Isak's plan one, and you've got to give that as much time as it needs, but there will have to be a definitive answer on that.
Well,
But a week to go, we play Newcastle and then a week later is the window. But after that game, you probably need to have your ducks in a row to move
The thing
on to
is,
somebody
I don't
else.
know how he can get back. Newcastle fans hate him, and look, probably if he did come back and he realised once again how good he is, then it's all forgotten.
He scores a few goals,
but he has cut ties with a lot of people there, and that's his decision. And look, if that was a player trying to move away from Liverpool, I'd absolutely couldn't stand them. And I'm not saying, once again, I think you still should conduct yourself in a different way. I still think you should, say you want to leave, but still give everything that you can for the team, that you're playing for at the same time, just for the fans, not for anybody inside the club, but for the fans who have supported you. But he's clearly made his way.
I'm with you on that, on the moral standpoint of it. But there is also that thing of like, if you have a conversation with someone and say, listen, I think my time's come to an end, would you accept a reasonable bid? Someone comes in with a British transfer record bid for you, and then they still don't accept it. There comes a point at which there's a level of like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Do you suck it up and press on? Ultimately, he might have no choice but to.
It's not in his hands, is the thing. If he had a year left on his contract or something, but he doesn't.
I saw someone put a quote tweet of Anthony Gordon did this to get to Newcastle from Everton.
Virgil van Dijk did it to Liverpool. Yeah. He's the captain. So my thing with the Isak situation after those chants at the weekend is that it's going to be tough for them to integrate him, but they don't have to sell him. It's worth mentioning. They're struggling to get replacements. The visa things apparently hit the skids a little bit today, so they're really struggling. So once they've got that, it might happen. I don't give a fuck that he's on strike by whatever. I don't care, and I hope that Liverpool sign him, and I hope it pisses Newcastle fans off. I'm just very selfish about it. But it's more a case of, for me, is like, again, I go back. If it's not him, who is it? And if it's not a striker, I hope it is a striker, because I'm looking at plan Bs, and the comment there about like a Barker or a winger, that's fine, but we don't have another centre forward. It's all well and good saying bring another wide player in, but then who does play? Is it Chiesa as your backup 9?
Well, it is at the moment.
Is that the plan? So, because I'm looking at all the people Newcastle are trying to sign as the replacement, and I'm not sure any of them I particularly want. Yeah. So the market for strikers is very dry at the moment. So it's a messy situation that everybody's found themselves in. My gut feel is that it happens, but I don't think. I think 2 weeks ago I was more. I thought it was certain, and now more along the lines.
I don't know how much Liverpool have to offer. Like, I don't know what gets them out.
It feels like 150 is the number, isn't it?
But Liverpool aren't going to pay 150. I don't think so. I don't know where I don't know where they find a compromise there.
Yeah, well, again, it's just these things are moving. You just don't know how much ego comes into play with it, and how much the Newcastle do this.
They're definitely not going to do it before Liverpool play. Newcastle,
well, that's what I mean.
Sure.
But that for me, if you were doing it, I would. That gives you one clear 90-minute moment to get it all out your system. Go and,
do you reckon Slot would play him though? Yeah. So I don't think he would.
Depends if he's fit.
Who did he play last time? And he probably realised it wasn't a great decision.
Kekas.
yeah, probably. Oh, it's hard to end up right back, whatever you're looking for.
Andy Robbo left back against Semenyo.
It is funny, like the idea of sort of morality in football, and I always just think if you try and be overly grandstanding about anything, obviously issues like racism, sexism, completely different, but in terms of like players moving around, you're always going to get caught out at some point, because at some stage your club's going to do the exact same thing. Yeah. So, Newcastle supporters are disgusted with the way Alexander Isak is acting, but are absolutely fine with how Wissa is acting, in the same way that we're absolutely fine with what Isak's doing, but we hated when Suarez and continued did it to us. And I know there's niches.
But we had this, but the thing is, I agree, by the way, someone mentioned it, said, why are we not kicking off at Luis Diaz more? He said he wanted to leave. We made it clear. It was like, because
people thought we could improve on him, by the way.
But he said, that too. Couple people, he came to Liverpool and went, I think it's time for me to go on. Liverpool went, if we get the money that we expect for you, then you can go. And we did, and we sold him. And he went off with everyone's fondest wishes. Newcastle have kind of fucked themselves and fucked Isak by not following the process. And I get it, like, he's your number 9 and you want the replacements and all that, but have they weakened their own bargaining position, because they're leaving themselves late in the window?
It is funny how they've tried to get, like, not funny, because if they would have got one of these three, maybe we'd have got Isak for the start of the season. But it feels like everyone they've gone to, everyone's just gone, nah. Like, is it Kolo Muani? Has just gone, nah, I'd rather go back to Juve, lads. I mean, the Italian
Man United.
I know.
It's worth
like, what is going on?
That if they do keep him, and they will, if they absolutely want to, be within their rights to keep him, his camp, the latest thing they're putting out is he's on strike, and even if they keep him past the transfer window, that's going to remain the case. So there's a bit of calling a bluff there, which I think in a World Cup year he probably will come back in and train and play, but there is a chance that you've got a £120 million asset there whose value is probably 30% off this time next year, who's not going to play for you. So, it'd be quite brave to call his bluff on this, I think.
I think also, again, and we don't know, that we're not privy to all the conversations, but usually if a player comes to mind and goes, I want to leave, or to a football club, I think the conversation would usually be, okay, if we get this amount of money, you can probably go. That's 90% of the time I'll go. Sometimes you might just get a clear no, it's too late in the window. When it happened in the previous summer, or, this apparently happened straight after their final game of the season, so Newcastle knew. For him to go on strike as early as he did, he must have got a pretty no straight away. And I go back to wondering why they've said no to him. Why didn't they say, here's the fee, when we get X, Y, and Z, you can go. And that way he wouldn't have to kick off. He wouldn't have to miss training. Look at Ebericheze. He's playing because he knows there's a value on his head. And if Spurs or Arsenal pay it, Crystal Palace are going to let him go. Whatever Newcastle has told Isak has made him so angry that he's refused to go on a tour and refused to train. So that I just thought, with Luis Diaz, Luis Diaz was on that tour. Yeah. He was on the day we sold him. He was part of a community visit in and around Asia because everyone had just been grown-ups about it. Yeah. I don't know, again, I'll go back to it. I just don't think Newcastle have covered themselves. There's no sporting director. And Amanda Staveley's gone, it's a shit show running it. And
the equivalent for me is like how we handled the Coutinho thing. And Liverpool dug in and refused to sell Coutinho, but Barcelona was so desperate that they were trying to play Barcelona low ball. I just don't, Liverpool are not low ball, and Newcastle can say he's worth 150 million, but he's not. He's worth what someone will pay for him. And right now, there's an offer on the table that makes him the most expensive footballer ever to play in English football. That's not low balling. Liverpool, and I agree, I don't think Liverpool will go stupid on it because there shouldn't be a need for it. This is how the game is supposed to be played. But if Newcastle if they've not got professionals in positions there doing it how it's supposed to be done, that's how you end up with that. So I agree. I don't think his value goes up for this. Liverpool milked Barcelona for all they were worth because they were desperate. Liverpool will have an air of desperation, but I don't think this is a situation where we're paying more for him in January.
The thing is, though, is that someone can milk Newcastle though next, because if Isak has said he doesn't want to play for them, and if it does look like he's edging towards Liverpool, they need another striker and they need one quite quick, because actually on the weekend they played quite good against Villa and they were literally missing Alexander Isak up front to put the ball in the back of the net. They couldn't get Ekitike, which they thought was basically the regen of Isak. They haven't been able to get a couple of their other targets. So if it's getting closer to the deadline and they're now looking for a striker even more, well, what we did to Barcelona, anyone is going to do. Yeah. And in that time, Gyökeres has gone, Šeško has gone, Ekitike's gone.
Pedro's gone.
João Pedro's gone. Where are you going?
That's the point, Cody. All the blame is going to come on Isak because Isak's the bad guy. And Newcastle fans, but honestly, they should be looking at the way the football clubs run. It's a joke because they are culpable. Because dead right, you don't want your best players to leave, but also who are you? Like Liverpool sold Suarez, and Liverpool sold Sterling, and Liverpool sold Torres. And we've sold really good footballers over the years because I think there's a difference when if you're at the tippity top and you can offer everything to football and they still want to go, then I think you have to let go. If you're not quite there as well, careers are short. What are you doing? You sell them and move on, get someone else and try. And you can make an argument even with, they couldn't have scored in a brothel with a fistful of 50s or, 50 quid hanging out the zipper or whatever, the old chestnut. Would more money have helped them attract players? No, because they're clearly not selling the club right to whoever it is they're doing it. But it would have certainly surely made it easier. You don't have to negotiate quite so much over the decimal places if you've got that wedge of cash.
You've always got to be in a position where that there are a handful of clubs in the world who don't have to worry about their players wanting to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. You should always have a contingency plan. Yeah. The day you went to Eddie Howe by report said, I want to leave, it just feels like they've gone, like the heads have gone, and they haven't gone, right, okay, we line this up. But
Liverpool lost Trent, and we clearly, the way he went about it, we clearly didn't like, because look at how everybody who's ever kicked the ball for Liverpool has got a lovely little tweet and a send-off. Trent got his wish to leave, and that's it. They had Frimpong ready for a reasonable price. They'd gone and assessed that. They'd tied Conor Bradley down to a new contract as well, which was massive, because that was something else you had to, Bradley could have saw Frimpong come in and gone, I'm not gonna play second fiddle again when I've just had that unbelievable season under Trent. Liverpool then went, okay, how can we optimise this? Oh, we'll get 10 mil from them, so it's not what we would have wanted, but it's more than what we
making the best out of the situation.
We haven't bought Luis Diaz replacements. But that's part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
Of like you've got the.
If you get Isak and
it feels like we're doing joined up thinking, and they're not. I think it's the long and short of it. And I think Newcastle that needs to take responsibility for the situation. This isn't all on Alexander Isak.
Can I ask one more question very quick? When do you think Liverpool pivot?
I'm not sure they do.
If it got to like the transfer deadline's Monday the 1st, we play Newcastle on Monday the 25th, so they'll have a week after that game. At some point, they're going to have to go. It's now or never. You've got to think it might be like the Tuesday, Wednesday where they go.
The problem you've got is that I think he's Van Dijk. I think you have to, and it's you shit out of luck. But I just don't think we go and buy. Maybe it's like. But I mean, Rodrigo might have moved by that point, but maybe it's Rodrigo. It's a versatile forward.
Yeah.
Who can play.
Don't buy another centre forward, play winger.
Go and buy another Luis Diaz is the answer.
Yep.
But if that then hampers your ability to buy Isak, you've clearly decided Isak is the one. I think he's so good and he's so unique in his skill set that you've got no choice but to.
I wouldn't be surprised if they signed Isak on a winger. In fact, I think they might.
Really?
Yeah, because
with only like 2 weeks left
honestly,
to go.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
think Chiesa would then go if that happens. Like I think you'd sell Chiesa right at the death, to facilitate that.
That would break a little part of me.
But yeah, just quickly, by the way, just going back to that point of like the alternatives. Doak it looks like he's gone to Bournemouth now. Good money, 20-odd million quid. Brilliant. But that says against Steve.
They must have surely they're not letting Núñez, Diaz, and Doak all go in the last week and a half, and then not have something. They must. I refuse to believe that Arne Slot's looking at his options and I'm going, this is enough.
Yeah,
that's why I go back to the pivot thing. Yeah, they might think they're going to get Isak. I still think they're going to try and get 2. If they don't get Isak, they might just go for the winger. I don't know who it is and who's being linked and stuff, but yeah, it makes no sense otherwise. So
yeah, if you're not getting Isak, you've got, and if he doesn't fancy Chiesa as much as I'm loath to say it, and we love him, and I really hope it is Chiesa, because Biar's just constantly churning footballers. You've got to go and improve Chiesa, basically. Yeah. You've got to go and do someone who does what he does everywhere across the front three, but so better.
Can I get this straight? You think 3 more signings than Steve?
Yeah. Okay. I think Gahey, Isak and a winger.
That was some business. What do you think?
I think they'll just do Gahey and Isak. I think ideally to be well stocked in every position. A week ago you would have said 2 centre halves and 2 forward players, Isak plus 1 other. Ideally someone who can play across the front 3. My concern was that they were going to leave us a bit short in both and just get Gahey and Isak their first targets. I was surprised when we actually signed Leone, pleasantly surprised. And I would be very pleasantly surprised if they do the same thing in the front line, but I think it's Gahey and Isak.
The Leone thing was whispers and then it was done. And I would choose to believe that they're doing their own work now.
Are you 2 or 3?
I think it will be another centre half and Isak. If Isak's possible, I think that will be what it is. And because I think
if it's not Isak, do you then go centre half and a winger?
Yeah, I would, because I think we're like, but I also think there's a consideration which no one likes to have when there's a window open and you can technically buy more footballers. But I think the versatility of Frimpong, Vert, and Szoboszlai gives you more flexibility. You don't like to talk about it because when you start doing depth charts, he's in 2 positions at once. I'm sorry, but fucking City have been doing this for fucking 10 years. They've had players in 3 positions on their depth chart.
So 3rd and 5th about 7 positions on a football.
So, I think you can be all right. But today, with no Bradley available and no Gravenberg available, and obviously Chiesa's now your 4th choice forward and Ingemo's 5th, we look a little light, but a couple of players back, I think we'll be all right. Yes, anyway. More to come from us. We're going to be doing the Bias Football pod. We're going to talk about spin off from a couple of the conversations we've had. Obviously, we've mentioned Sesko, we've mentioned Gyökeres, a little mention of Newcastle and how they're handling no Alexander Isak. So we're going to talk about all of that good stuff. I want to talk about Arsenal's style of play. And I also want to talk about how Man United fans were really excited when nothing that good that they did in that game came about because their manager is good at managing a football team. It came about because they've bought more lads who are quite good at footy and let them just do whatever the fuck they want. So more on that over on the Bias Football pod after this, over on Redmen Plus. Use the code if you want to get a half price yearly subscription over there, which is Reds, REDS. You got a couple of weeks on that one if you want to check that one out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Chloe, Steve, and of course to Andy. And we're back with another Redmen Originals next week.